Stop waiting for prosperity. Start acting. As if. Acting as if. How to access the prosperity that is already within reach. Before we start, this is a practical guide to attention, emotion, and behavior. It does not replace therapy, medical care, or professional counseling. And this is not financial advice. Use discernment and make decisions responsibly. You've probably heard act as if before, and if you're honest, it can sound like pretending, like theater, like trying to trick the universe. So why does acting as if seem to work for some people and fail completely for others? That's what we're going to answer today, without mystical exaggeration, without false certainty, and without the typical repetition that makes videos feel inflated. By the end, you'll have a clear 5-part protocol you can apply in 10 minutes a day. Here's the paradox. 2 people say the same prosperity affirmations. One person becomes calmer, more consistent, more decisive, and their results begin to improve. The other person becomes anxious, inconsistent, and quietly resentful, and nothing changes. Same words, different outcome. Why? Because acting as if is not a sentence you say. It's a state you rehearse. And more importantly, it's a set of behaviors your brain can recognize as evidence. If you treat it like a performance, you burn out. If you treat it like practice, your self-image can actually shift. Prosperity doesn't begin when money arrives. It begins when your identity moves first, so you can recognize it, tolerate it, and act in alignment with it. We're going to unpack what that means, and how to do it in a way that is grounded, ethical, and measurable. Most people try acting as if in one of 3 wrong ways. They use it as denial. They try to act like nothing is wrong, while their body is screaming, "This isn't safe." They use it as a spike. One big burst of confidence, one big shopping decision, one big leap, then the crash. They use it as a magical contract, as if the universe owes them results because they believed. All 3 fail for the same reason. They create pressure without stability, and pressure without stability doesn't update identity. It creates an identity backlash. If you've ever tried to act prosperous and felt fake, tense, or guilty, that's not proof you can't do it. That's your system telling you, this version isn't safe yet. Good. Because now we can do it correctly. Napoleon Hill is often quoted like this: "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But Hill never meant fantasize with intensity and ignore reality. Hill's actual emphasis was practical, a definite purpose, a clear plan, consistent action, persistence when the emotional weather changes. In other words, the mind is a force that creates direction. And direction changes decisions. And decisions create outcomes over time. So acting as if is not about acting rich. It's about acting like someone with a definite purpose and a stable plan. That means you stop acting from urgency. You stop acting from panic. You start acting from calm structure. Not because you're pretending, because you're rehearsing a new baseline. When Hill said definite purpose, he wasn't talking about a vague desire. He meant a direction strong enough to organize your days. If your purpose is unclear, acting as if becomes random. And random action doesn't create identity. So here's a way to make it simple. Prosperity purpose usually falls into one of 3 categories. Pick one for the next 90 days. Safety. I want stability, less stress, fewer emergencies. Freedom. I want choices, time, mobility, optionality. Contribution. I want to support others, build something meaningful, give with integrity. None is superior, but mixing them without clarity creates conflict. Mini exercise, 2 minutes. Write 1 sentence. For the next 90 days, my prosperity purpose is widen so that I can one-pine. Then write 1 boundary that protects it. To protect that purpose, I will stop. 1. Examples: impulse spending, avoiding numbers, waiting for motivation, saying yes to everything. This is not motivation. It's a plan hook, something your behavior can attach to. And that's why Hill emphasized persistence. Not because you're forcing reality, but because you're training yourself not to quit when the feeling changes. One more Hill principle that people misunderstand: the mastermind. Hill wasn't saying you need a cult. He was saying your environment shapes your identity. So, acting as if becomes easier when you add one supportive structure, one accountability person you can text once a week, one calendar reminder that makes the minimum automatic, one friction removal, auto transfer, bill reminder, list of due dates in one place. That's still acting as if, because a stable person doesn't rely on willpower alone. They build an environment that supports the plan. Maxwell Maltz observed something that explains why acting as if often collapses. Self-image works like a thermostat. You can have a momentary rise motivation, confidence, discipline. But if your financial self-image is still set low, the system pulls you back to the old normal. Not because you're weak, because your nervous system prefers the familiar. So here's the key. Acting as if only works when it starts shifting your baseline self-image. And baseline doesn't shift through speeches. It shifts through repeated evidence. Small behaviors, repeated often, especially under normal and difficult conditions. Within reach means the next honest step you keep postponing. Mini diagnostic, 10 seconds. When you think about money, what state shows up first? Urgency, avoidance, shame, numbness, or calm? Don't judge it. Just name it. Now we'll use that awareness to run the 5-part protocol. This is the core method. It has 5 parts. And notice the intention, not performance installation. Your brain can't act as if prosperity is real if you're vague about what prosperity means. Vagueness creates anxiety. Clarity creates direction. Define prosperity in a way that is specific enough to guide decisions, flexible enough to stay ethical and sane. Mini exercise, 60-90 seconds. Complete these. Prosperity means I can reliably, examples: pay bills on time, save consistently, invest responsibly, say yes to health choices, make decisions without panic. My next 90 days of prosperity look like eins. One sentence, not a fantasy, a direction. The person who has that life does one small thing daily. You're building a bridge between identity and behavior. Add one more line, because Hill cared about plans, not vibes. My simplest plan for the next 7 days is past. One sentence, something you can actually execute. Auto-suggestion is not forcing yourself to say what your body rejects. It's choosing language your nervous system can accept. Bad declaration: I am wealthy, when your body says no. Better declaration: I'm becoming someone who handles money with calm structure. I'm learning to make stable financial decisions. I'm practicing prosperity as a daily pattern. Mini diagnostic, 30 seconds. Say your declaration out loud once. If you feel tight chest, sarcasm, a yeah right, lower the declaration until it becomes believable. Rule: believable beats impressive. Most people fail here because they try to jump too far, so use a ladder. Choose the lowest rung that feels true in your body. Rung 1. Neutral truth: I am willing to look at money clearly. Rung 2. Stable direction: I'm becoming someone who handles money with calm structure. Rung 3. Identity bridge: I'm the kind of person who returns after slips. Rung 4. Expansion: only if it feels believable. I can increase my income and stability over time through consistent action. If your chest tightens at rung 4, stay at rung 2 or 3. That's not weakness. That's accuracy. If you don't have behavior, you don't have evidence. If you don't have evidence, your self-image stays the same. Choose one micro action you can do in 2 to 5 minutes. Examples: check your account once, without spiraling. Write down one expense category. Move a small amount to savings automatically. Send one message that increases income opportunities. Review one bill date. Important: microaction must be observable. At the end of the day, you should be able to answer, did I do it? Yes or no. One more constraint: microaction should not feel like punishment. If it feels like self-attack, your system will resist. Use this rule. My microaction is proof, not penance. Microaction menu: pick one for the week. Stability actions: reduce chaos. Set one bill reminder. Choose one money day and review for 5 minutes. Write down one recurring expense and decide one change. Evidence actions: build proof. Save a tiny automatic amount. Record one expense category daily. No shame, just data. Send one message that increases income opportunities. Tolerance actions: train your nervous system. Check your balance for 10 seconds and breathe. Open a bill and read it fully without avoiding. Sit with a good news moment without spiking. If you're not sure what to pick, choose based on your default pattern. This keeps the practice honest. Minimum by profile: quick matching. Profile A: the avoider. Pattern: you don't look, you delay, you deal with it later. Best minimum: 10-second check. Plus 1 line of tracking. Why? Your identity upgrades when you face reality calmly. Profile B: the spiker pattern. You go from nothing to everything, then crash. Best minimum: the smallest repeatable action with no expansion for 7 days. Why? Stability is built through repetition, not intensity. Profile C: the perfectionist pattern. You need the perfect plan before you start. Best minimum: 1 imperfect action in 2 minutes, even if messy. Why? The thermostat shifts when you act without perfect conditions. Profile D: the over-responsible one. Pattern: you carry everything, you feel pressure, you burn out. Best minimum: 1 boundary plus 1 calm action. Example: I pause 24 hours before non-essential spending, then do 1 tracking line. Why? Prosperity requires boundaries, not self-sacrifice. Pick one profile that's most like you. Then pick the minimum that corrects that pattern. That's how acting as if becomes personal instead of generic. Quick payoff: if you only do part 3 for 7 days, the first sign isn't money. It's less hesitation and faster return. If the menus feel like too much, use this simplified version for 1 week. 1 number. Look at 1 number daily. Balance, debt total, or savings. 1 date. Know your next due date, so life stops surprising you. 1 action. Do 1 proof action, 2 5 minutes, and stop there. That's enough to create evidence without overwhelm. Most people try to act as if with adrenaline. That's why it collapses. Prosperity is not adrenaline. Prosperity is a capacity, calm tolerance. So you rehearse from a regulated state. Protocol: 2 minutes. 3 slow breaths. Relax your jaw, lower your shoulders. Say the believable declaration once, do the microaction. This trains a new link. Prosperity, calm, action. Instead of prosperity, pressure, avoidance. Tracking is not an emotional journal. It's a proof engine. 3 simple options. X on a calendar. 1 line on your phone. Done, not done, checklist. 1 line template. Today I practiced prosperity. Or, today I slipped. Tomorrow I return with cancer. That 1 line is how you stop 1 bad day from becoming an identity sentence. Here's what tracking actually looks like in real life. 7 days. No speeches. Just proof. Mon. Did minimum. 2 minutes. Anxious, but did it. 2. Slipped. Wrote. Tomorrow I return with 2 minutes. Wed. Returned. Marked X. Thu. Did minimum. Added 10% expansion. Fry. Hard day. minimum only. Still marked X. Sat, slipped, planned Sunday minimum in one line. Sun, returned. Weekly review, slips 2, returns 2. That's how self-image gets updated, not by intensity, but by return. If you like structure, here's the short version. Minute 1, regulate, 3, slow breaths, soften your body. Minute 2, purpose cue, safety, freedom, contribution. Minutes 3 to 4, say your believable declaration once, then pause. Minutes 5 to 8, do your one micro action, proof. Minute 9, track one line. Minute 10, set tomorrow's minimum. Objection. 1. Isn't this delusion? No. Delusion denies reality. This method faces reality and changes behavior. You're not saying, I have money I don't have. You're practicing, I can make stable decisions, even before results arrive. Objection 2. What if I'm broke? How can I act as if? You act as if by practicing stability at the level you can afford. Sometimes it's checking one number calmly, removing one fee, making one call, sending one message. Prosperity doesn't start with luxury. It starts with stability behavior. Objection 3. What if people judge me for trying to improve? That's a self-image thermostat issue. Visibility can feel unsafe. So you practice visibility in micro doses. One message, one ask, one boundary, one honest conversation. That's acting as if too. When you run this protocol, you tend to change what you tolerate, receiving without panic, how consistently you act, especially after slips. Here's a simple before-after contrast. Before, you avoid looking at your balance because it spikes shame or panic. After a couple weeks of calm practice, you can look 3 times a week without spiraling. Nothing magical happened. Your baseline changed, so your options increased. And once you have options, you stop making panic choices. You start making smaller, cleaner choices that you can repeat. That's where compounding actually begins. That doesn't guarantee results, but it increases probabilities. And prosperity is largely a probability game. Consistent choices compound. There's also a simple, practical effect. When you reduce emotional emergencies, you recover bandwidth. And bandwidth changes your choices. So the goal isn't to manifest money. The goal is to stop leaking energy into panic loops, so you can act with structure more often. Here's the trap. You try to act prosperous by doing big prosperous things. You buy to feel rich. You spend to prove confidence. You take risks to feel powerful. That's not acting as if. That's acting from insecurity wearing a costume. A prosperous identity is quieter. It plans. It repeats. It returns. It tolerates discomfort without collapsing. So the question becomes, are you rehearsing stability or performing confidence? Mini diagnostic, 60 seconds. When you make a money decision, what's the emotional driver? Urgency? Fear? Shame? Excitement? Calm? If it's urgency, it's likely not prosperity. It's survival. Your job is not to judge it. Your job is to regulate, then choose a smaller action. Let's make this concrete. Start with a simple, stable person filter. Is this calm? If I'm flooded, I wait. Is this clean? Does it reduce chaos or increase it? Is this consistent? Could I repeat it weekly without breaking? Does it match my purpose? Safety, freedom, or contribution? Acting as if you're financially stable does not mean you pretend you have money. It means you practice the behaviors of stability. Stable people don't make major money decisions while emotionally flooded, so you practice a rule. If I'm flooded, I pause. Return sentence. I can decide later. I don't need urgency to be safe. Add a rule that prevents expensive mistakes. The 24-hour pause rule for non-essential spending. If you want to buy something to change your emotional state, pause 24 hours. During the pause, do your minimum and track one line. That's acting as if. Stability is built through the floor, the small, repeated behaviors that happen even when you're tired. Examples: check one number daily, set one reminder, track one category, save a tiny amount automatically. And one more that matters: remove one silent leak. Silent leak: a recurring expense you ignore, late fees you keep paying, subscriptions you forgot. One leak removed is often worth more than 100 affirmations. For many people, receiving more triggers: guilt, fear, self-judgment, sudden spending, or avoidance. So you practice tolerance. When something good happens, you don't spike. You breathe. You stay regulated. You do one micro-action that supports stability. 3 gain triggers that sabotage prosperity, and what to do instead. Trigger 1. Guilt. Other people have it worse. I shouldn't want more. Correction. Wanting stability isn't harming anyone. Then do a calm stability action. One reminder, one category, one small plan step. Trigger 2. Visibility. If you earn more, you feel seen. If you feel seen, you fear judgment. Correction. Practice being seen in small ways. One message, one ask, one offer. Trigger 3. Responsibility. More money can feel like more pressure, and your nervous system reads pressure as danger. Correction. Tie prosperity to structure. If you receive more, add one structure, one rule, one system, one boundary. Urgency often sounds like, I need to fix everything today. Prosperity practice sounds like, I will build it daily. Borrow this line when urgency tries to take the wheel. Urgency is not intuition, it's a state. Then return to your protocol. 3 breaths, minimum, 1 line of tracking. Story 1. The calm check shift. Someone avoids checking their bank account because it triggers anxiety. So their acting as if becomes 3 breaths, open the app, look at the balance for 10 seconds, close it. 1 line of tracking. At first it feels small, but the brain records, I can face money without collapsing. That tends to change decision quality over time. And here's the honest part. The anxiety may not disappear quickly, but it often becomes tolerable. And tolerable is enough to act. Story 2. The income opportunity, micro move. Someone wants prosperity but waits for a big break. So their micro action becomes 1 message per day that increases opportunity, 1 outreach, 1 follow-up, 1 application, 1 offer. Not 50 messages. 1. And tracking becomes, today I acted from stability. I sent 1 message. That builds a new identity sentence. I'm someone who creates opportunities consistently, and that identity tends to change what you notice. You stop waiting for the big break, and you start seeing small openings as normal. Story 3. The tolerance for gain moment. Someone gets a small raise, a new client, or a paid invoice, and instead of feeling stable, they feel unsafe. So they spike. They spend. They overcommit. They make a risky decision to match the new identity. So their acting as if becomes the opposite. They receive, and they stay regulated. 3 breaths. No celebration spending. They add 1 structure instead. They increase an auto-transfer slightly, or they write 1 rule for the next 30 days. The brain records, good things can happen, and I stay stable. That's prosperity practice. If acting as if collapses, it collapses here on the hard day. Here are 3 full scripts, then 2 quick flashes. Scenario 1, unexpected bill. Decision, I don't disappear. I look at it. Minimum, open the bill and read it once. Sentence, I can face money calmly. Scenario 2, shame spiral. Decision, I don't punish myself into prosperity. Minimum, track 1 category for 2 minutes. Sentence, data, not drama. Scenario 3, 3-day slip. Decision, no compensation. Return. Minimum, the lowest minimum today. Sentence, return is identity. Flash, 1 line each. Income dip. 1 outreach message. Plus, I return with 1 action. Social pressure. Suggest a cheaper alternative. Plus, I don't buy belonging. Pick one scenario that is real for you. Write your sentence down. That's your acting as if for the next hard day. This part matters because people hear prosperity and assume denial. So let's be direct. Acting as if does not mean you ignore debt. It means you stop treating debt like an identity. If you have debt, your acting as if is structure, honesty, and calm persistence. Mini case, realistic, small numbers. Let's say you have spent $200 on a card and you keep getting hit with a $25 late fee every couple months. Your first prosperity move isn't a miracle. It's removing preventable pain. So acting as if can look like this. You list the due dates in one place. You set an autopay for the minimum payment. You call once and ask if a fee can be waived. You stop one subscription you forgot you had. That's not glamorous, but it's identity-changing evidence. I handle money with structure. And notice what we didn't do. We didn't promise a big outcome. We removed chaos. We reduced avoidable penalties. We created a repeatable system. That's the kind of acting as if that actually sticks, because it matches reality and builds proof. Here's a simple approach that stays realistic. 1 truth statement. No shame. This is my current number. It is not my worth. 1 minimum that reduces future pain. Examples. Set 1 due date reminder. Stop 1 late fee. Call 1 service and ask for a plan. 1 weekly action that creates movement, not a heroic sprint. 1 weekly step. Review interest rates. Consolidate information in 1 place. Automate 1 payment. Negotiate 1 bill. 1 boundary to protect the plan. I don't spend to change my emotional state. Or, I don't avoid numbers. This is how you act like someone who is becoming stable, not by pretending the problem isn't there, but by behaving like a person who can face it without collapsing. These aren't beginner mistakes. These are the mistakes disciplined people make. You miss 2 days. Then you try to do 10x on the 3rd day. That becomes punishment. And punishment teaches your nervous system, prosperity, pain. Correction. After a slip, return to the minimum. Your system learns from return, not debt payment. You get a few good days and you try to secure it by doubling everything. Signal you raise too early. You start negotiating the minimum. Correction. Drop 1 step. Make the minimum obvious again. You turn the minimum into a perfect setup. Music, timing, notebook, lighting. And then the day gets messy and you do nothing. Correction. Minimum must fit chaos. It's supposed to work when life is not cooperating. Don't measure perfect days. Measure return speed. Weekly dashboard, 5 minutes on Sunday. Percent returns after slips. How many times did you slip, and how many times did you return the next day? Hesitation time. How long did you delay before doing a 2 to 5 minute action? Normal days versus peak days. How many normal days did you do the minimum? If returns are increasing, the baseline is shifting. That's what matters. One more metric that's surprisingly powerful. How often you check reality without spiraling. Example. If you used to avoid looking at your balance entirely, and now you can look calmly 3 times a week, that is a real prosperity upgrade. Because awareness creates options. Avoidance creates randomness. This is the core. What to do when you slip, because you will. Step 1. Name it without sentencing yourself. I slipped. That's data, not a sentence. Step 2. Decide tomorrow's minimum before sleep. Not tomorrow I'll fix everything, but tomorrow my minimum is X. Step 3. Do the minimum the next day without negotiating. No compensation, no debt payment, just return. Punchline. Your prosperous identity isn't proven on the perfect day. It's proven the morning after the slip. If you want to turn this into a real shift, use a 30-day map. Not as a challenge, as an installation schedule. Week 1, calm plus clarity. Pick your purpose: safety, freedom, or contribution. Choose rung 1 to 3 declaration, believable. Do a 2 to 5 minute minimum daily. Track 1 line. Goal: reduce avoidance and create the first proof. Week 2, evidence. Keep the same minimum. Add 1 silent leak cleanup. Keep your 24-hour pause rule. Goal: show your brain stability is normal. Week 3, opportunity. Keep the minimum. Add 1 opportunity action daily. 1 message, 1 follow-up, 1 offer. Goal: prosperity becomes something you participate in, not wait for. Week 4, expansion. Only if the minimum feels easy. Increase by 10 to 20%. Never increase in a week where you're negotiating the minimum. Goal: increase capacity without triggering the thermostat pullback. And if you slip in any week, you don't restart the month. You run the return protocol. That's the entire identity training. Acting as if is not pretending you have money. It's rehearsing the identity that can hold stability. Prosperity tends to grow when you build a calm baseline, repeat micro actions, and return after slips. If you want one sentence to carry with you, make it this: I don't need to perform prosperity. I need to practice stability. If you want a simple start tonight, write your 90-day purpose sentence, pick 1 minimum for the next 7 days, and put it on your calendar. Then let the proof accumulate. You're not forcing prosperity. You're becoming someone who can hold it without panic. That's the self-image shift, and it's what Hill meant by purpose plus persistence. Not overnight, but reliably. Daily. Your first sign it's working is not a miracle. It's shorter hesitation and faster return, in quiet ways. For those who want the structured guide, the full ebook is in the pinned comment. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next video.